All right, good evening, everybody. Good evening. Welcome to the second of the Mechanism podcast. But before we get started, we're going to have our intro music for tonight. Tonight's topic is about family, so stay tuned. Good evening, everybody, and welcome again to the Mechanism Podcast. This is yours and most importantly, Pastor Jay here tonight. So I'm going to give you a brief into what the mechanism podcast looks like. Mechanism is like a process, technique, or something of sort of achievement of a result that you want to see. It's something that you want to see happen in your life and what you want to see going forth and what we are doing for the next 3 months in this podcast. On last Monday, we did our first episode, which was talking about parenting, and it was a lot to tune into that episode of parenting. And I shared some very important topics. So if you have not followed and like and subscribe to the Mechanism Cast, we do have a YouTube channel. This podcast will come live here at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for you all to tune in. So tonight we're looking at the topic family. We're going to come at different categories tonight, ladies and gentlemen and children. So we're going to start off in the worldly perspective, and then we're going to kind of move forth into the biblical perspective of family. So the first point I want to talk about tonight is our viewpoint within our consists of family roles, emotional issues, interpretation of power, communication style, systematic rules, myths, and rituals. Each person has his or own experience in their life that shape their world viewpoint, and their family plays a large part in this. So when we look at the word family, what are some of the things to you when you think about family? You think about gatherings, you think about celebration, you think of togetherness, you're thinking about spending with each other, going to church, going to trips, spending time as a family, having family meetings, having family gatherings, and doing a lot of things as a family togetherness. And it consists of different variables, everyone. You can be traveling out of town to visit family for family reunions, or you can be going to a wedding, or you can be going to a birthday, you can be going to a bridal shower or a baby shower. Jing that brings togetherness in an important aspect. When you think about the word family, you think about a lot of the things I just shared with you all. But when family, it's taking me to a perspective of back in the day type family, where you got big mama, you have kids and the husband and wife and all those factors, and how it was structured back then. And that example that is image in my mind is the structure of how the modern family was back then, with the husband and the wife and the kids, and they all in a two-parent home. And certain scenarios are not the case in these days and time. Family looks different and more, and it start gradually changing as the years progress, where you see a lot more single moms and single dads conducting, and they're having to do family being in those, unfortunately, through unforeseen circumstances. And it's very hard and challenging for that to be talked about. But as we talk about the word family, it's going to really shed some light tonight to kind of give you an insight of what that looks like overall. Okay. So the next part of this I want to talk about, family is important because they offer support and security and coupling with unconditional love. And that's what family looks like. They offer support and unconditional love. Okay. The next part of it is, what is the value of family in life? Family boosts our confidence and make us feel loved. Pillow of strength who never fall, instead keeping us strong so we become better people. We learn the value of love, respect, faith, hope, caring, culture, ethnic tradition, and everything else that concerns us through our families. Thank you, Holy Spirit. Most of us will listen to this podcast and say, Pastor Jay, what is this topic about families? We can look at this in three different or multiple areas. As I gave you a few examples here tonight, family looks so much different now than it did back then. It's so much of the negativity out there in terms of what family looks like, and how that negativity has really just been the norm in this life. And it's not the way it's supposed to be. Now, the next part of this is, why is family an important value? Family values are important for several reasons. Firstly, they provide a sense of identity, belonging, and security for individuals within the family union. Strong family values also help in installing morals and ethnic principles, sharpening behavior, and teaching important life skills. That's what it's supposed to be like. But in true reality, the way things are right now, we have to look at it like this, that everything that I'm sharing with you all is how it's supposed to be. But in true reality, it's not the way it is. It is so divided and so combobulated that it it, it takes a step back when you hear things that are so positive, so nourishing, and so replenishing. The true reality is what I'm reading and explaining to you in great detail. Not so. It has become the division. It has become the jealousy. It has become the envy. It has become talking back. It has become generate curses and secrets and all kind of stuff that goes on. But that's not how it's supposed to be. But the way it's set up now, that's how it is. And it's just sad that it has gotten that bad that family is not what family used to be. The core of your family. Family values are similar to personal and professional values. Your whole family. No matter how many members your family has, these values determine how the family as a unit cope with difficult and raise to challenges. Difficulty means hardship, things that you face. And what society has laid families these days is too much of a competition in a lot of families. And the competition start that you are better than this person, or that person, vice versa. And it's become a battle now. That where is the love? Where is the dedication? It's not, because people are really going after each other for all the wrong reasons. It's so much unforgiveness. It's so much pain and so much grudges and having a guilty conscience and all those different things. Now, for those of you who are fortunate family that's tight and close, that's a blessing. In most cases, most people are not able to have that because they don't they they don't know how to feel that love and tender kindness when it's always something going on. It's always drama. It's always chaos. It's always turmoil. It's always something that's happening that's causing so much stir up in the family. And it's just not a consistent thing. One side love better than the other side. One side has all this anger and anguish going on. It's like back and forth tennis ball match. And we see it all the time. Not even just on social media, on TV, but in reality. Things start shaking up, things are starting to be rattled, and there is no consistency of what is happening. It's like it's lack of dedication, lack of appreciation, and it's so horrible to see that happen in so many different factors. And as we look at category tonight, ladies and gentlemen, take a minute to think about like what family really means to you and how it's impacting you right now at the moment. What makes family unique? Families have their own tradition, holidays, nationalities, cultures, race, and ethnic, and are so many characteristics. Families have their own way of dealing with situations. They have their own way of celebrating. They have their own way of honoring. They have their own traditions of how they are carrying these things out. And why is family important to society? Families offers environmental of women's love and understanding, which is essential for the emotion and the psychological development of their members. The emotional ability thrives in a family fosters self-confidence and self-esteem in individuals, making them resilient and capable of dealing with life challenges. So now we're going to shift gears and kind of focus in on that. You might not have a biological family per se, but you have family that have became family, that love you and care for you and want to see greatness happen for you in your life. And that's a deep connection. And that ties into everything that I'm sharing with you all tonight. That when you have stepped out of your comfort zone and start making different connection with those who are not even related to you, not even blood related, become your family, become your sister or your brother. And they just love on you and invite you and welcome you into their home and then welcome you to your family. You're always going to gatherings and parties and things that they have because they have made you. And that's the absolute beautiful thing about that. Now we're going to talk about family cores. What are family values? Similar to personal values or work values, but they include the entire family. Regardless of what your family looks like, how many parents and children it may or may not be included, these values informs family to deal with challenges as a unit. As you come together and cultivate, talk about these issues and deal with crises and unexpected things that may be happening in a family, you have these discussions, you communicate, you listen. That's what it's supposed to be like. And days it's not so in so many households. There's too much tension. There's too much, so much going on. The thing about it is when we apply these type of rules in our life, we begin to realize this is a very important topic to share because people trying to understand what that looks like and what that feels like. And most of you like, Pastor Jay, where are you going with this? Keep listening to this part. You're gonna get a message in terms of what really means like overall. Now, let's skip. Skip says, what makes a family a family? Family is a group of two or more persons related by birth, marriage, or adoption who live together. Now, in other words, the ones that blood related, but then you're talking about family who's not blood related, and they're connected in a different element, and they can have a strong bond and relationship that they can build and conversate and talk about these things and share these characteristics, and when they're going to have a mutual understanding of this. So now I want to kind of shift gears again and talk about it. How does the viewpoint of family looks like in a single family home, single parents aspect? We're touching all bases here because I want to reach every audience that who is tuning in to podcast. And how does that impact you? And how does that affect you? And what does that look like? Because everybody needs a word of an encouragement, upliftment through the Mechanism podcast. All right. So what does family look like a parent? A single parent is someone who is unmarried, widowed, or divorced and not remarried. The household can be headed by a mother and a father, a parent, and an uncle or auntie. What does single parent family mean? Single parent families are compared of a parent slash caregiver and one or more dependent children without the presence and support of a spouse or an adult partner who shares the responsibility of parenting. Okay. What is the single parent family statute? A person who has child or children not have a spouse or a living partner to assist upbringing or support of a child. Okay. Why is single parent family good? So I'm gonna get it. So a single parent household can be more peaceful than two parent family. A single parent family will have fewer arguments. This can make the home environment less stressful. Your children safer and more secure in such a house. Now, most have a mix of emotions about what I just said, and I want to kind of back this up. In certain cases, and let Pastor J just make this perfectly clear. In certain cases, there are situations where some moms or dads end up being divorced or end up raising the kids by themselves, have passed away, or they end up being divorced, or the wife or the husband decide to leave the home and not be present in the child's life. And what I just read to you all is the aspect of peace. And what they mean about this is the fact that there's less argument and less tension and friction between the husband and wife or the wife and husband. That's what that's referring to. And it's much safer and comfortable for the child to be able to live in that environment. So I want to kind of and back that up before someone jump on the podcast and start questioning. That's what I was trying to kind of reiterate so that way you understand what that looks like. That's what I've been saying. Okay. All right. What's the difference between a single mother and a single parent? All right. It is compassion composing both men and women who are raising their children independently. And similarly, a single mother refers to specifically to a woman in this role. A single parent is more gen- gender neutral that can apply to both men and women in the same situation. Now, let's get a little bit more deep involved. All right. Let's see. All right. Ooh, what is it? Just a single parent is single parent good or bad? So now we look at the scenario here. And it says parent children can feel frustrated, stressed, and furious by the difference between lives and their friends. Children of single parents are more prone to physical illnesses, alcohol abuse, and symptoms than children from homes with two parents. Now I want to clarify that too, and I want to read a situation, the comparison, the contrast of those who have both parents and those who have single parents. And the living environment is so different and how their upkeeping is so different. Even though they have one parent at the home, they have psychological illnesses and all that. That can go in terms of having two parent home. You have both parents, but you may have one that's present. And you have the other one that's doing whatever they're doing. So there's a difference in the situation, but a lot of that goes on in the single parent or single mother role because they don't have that support system and they have that outlet where husband and wife, husband or dad or mom is not present in the home. And I want to iterate that because, like I said, this podcast is very sensitive, and I want to make sure I cover every basis what I'm sharing with you all tonight here to give you a difference and a compare and contrast of what that looks like in different situations wherever the children are brought up in and where they were raised and where they were brought up from gives them a different outlet. See, those who are single parent homes see children with two parent homes and they idolize that because they want that in their home. Okay. Then we have the ones both parents homes, and then they idolize those who have both parents in the home. And they look like they have both parents in the home, but then the child parent at home looking at the child who got the one parent, and they like, I want this, and the other one want that. And it's like it's a no-win situation because each other's life, but at the end of the day, you can't walk in else's shoes and experience that because it's not possible. Everybody, family can go in different categories and different perspective. As we look at it too, we look at the income aspect. Single parent home, they may have to work maybe 2 or 3 jobs to supplement to make ends meet and go back to school and make a way and provide for their babies. Versus with a two parent home where you have two incomes, where they may be working 2 jobs, mom may be working 1 job, or they both may be working 1 job and making a certain amount of money in terms of income, and they're able to balance this thing out in terms of bills versus the one parent who doesn't have a strong support system out to work multiple jobs to survive and take care of her kids and care of his kids and make sure they have a roof over their head, clothes like shoes on their feet. First and foremost, Pastor Jay, we need each and every last one of you all who have families and are dedicated to what you're doing and how to express yourself and to really take hands and make sacrifices and make dedications and really standing strong for your family, because it's very important that the role that you play a tremendous part in what you're doing, and that tremendous part should be rewarded and commended more and more each day. We have to give people their flowers and congratulate them each and every, because life is so unpredictable. It's so anything. All right. So I want to switch gears here again. I want to talk about it in a different aspect. Okay. And I want to speak about this, and I want to start with the biblical aspect of family. To give you a real understanding of what that looks like. All right. Give me a second, everybody, as I pull this up. Okay. So, the book of Genesis, Bible, describes the story of Hagar, a servant's house. So, she was a single mother who was betrayed and then banished into the desert. So, this is an example that was talked about in the Bible in Genesis about Hagar. She was a single mother who had birthed the child of Abraham. Okay. And many of you have heard this story, may not. The experience was very unpleasant for her, where she had to go through and ordeals, sacrifices, and the things that she had to face. About it is God was with her. The Spirit kept telling her and leading her and guiding her and helping her through these difficult times that she was going through, doing that, helping her life. And it talks about it and it's mentioned to it in the book of Genesis. So let's go a little bit deeper. What is God's attitude to single parents? Watch this. Single parents that they are fine, just as they are, just as they're capable of raising children as any other family. God holds single parent families in a higher rate. Psalm 68, verse 5 says, a father to a fatherless, a defender of a widow is God in his holy dwelling. So he's dwelling, he's right there with you as you're dealing with this and you're handling this being a single parent. Okay, God is with you. And God is with you as you're raising your kids, fellas, and as you're raising your kids, ladies. And He to help you understand that He's through that, and He's through each and every path of everything that. Now, here's an encouraging word in Deuteronomy chapter 31, verse 6 says, be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid or terrified because of them. For your God goes with you. He will never leave you nor forsake you. So this is an encouraging scripture I want the single parents to listen to. Deuteronomy 31 and 6. I encourage you to really think about what it means for you fellas and ladies. Help you to really look at things so effectively and how that just gives you a little bit of, give you hope through all that you may be facing and what you're dealing with. Now I have another one here. Now this is a verse about what does the Bible say about the fathers. Again, some reference to Psalm 65. Fathers and power of widow is God and holy habitat. Aim is to or mercy, care, and protection, and because their waiting children are essence to Him, they should be essential to us in church. That means they should be loved, they should be cared about, they should be appreciated, just as God cares about us. We should care of them as well. All right. Now, the next part I want to share with you is God helps single mothers. Like, you're really going deep. I really am. God our Father cares for single mothers in their lonely cry of desperate needs. He does the same for our children separated from their fathers by divorce, death, incarceration, or any other trauma. God is a loving God who keeps close personal watch on each of our children. So you and God is there. Ooh, and in reference again, let's go back into Hagar, who was in the book of Genesis about the single mother, and how that corresponds and relates to what we're dealing with right now. So single mothers, courage, single fathers, be encouraged. Single parent homes, God is with you. And He's with you every step of the way. He rescues you, He takes care of you, He nourishes you, He replenishes you, He fills your cup. He gives you strength, He gives you courage, He gives you all these great things to remind you that He is with you through all of these things. So I just encourage you all here to just write out these verses and just think about them as a tool to kind of implement and kind of share what you have experienced doing this podcast. Now, let's talk about family overall in the biblical aspect of it. The family is the foundation institution of social ordained by God. It is a by marriage. It is a composure of person related to one another by marriage, blood, or adoption. The family is a fundamental institution of Genesis chapter 2, verse 20 and 25, and Genesis 4 and 1. Exodus chapter 20, verse 5 and 6, Joshua chapter 7, verse 10 and 15. Again, Joshua chapter 24 and 25, and 2 Kings chapter 13, verse 23. So again, that's telling you how that looks, equal aspect of how God looks at family and what that really means. I encourage you all to write that down as a reference tonight. So this is one last portion that I'll read to you all. So what does the Bible say about family? Children are crowned of the age, and parents are the pride of their children. Honor your father and mother. A wise son brings joy to his father, but a foolish son brings grief to his mother. Bear with each other and forgive one another if any of you have grieved against someone. So what this particular verse talks about, and I want to make sure I give you the right verse for what I do you all. This is in reference of Colossians chapter 3, everybody. And this particular scripture right here is reminding you to carry yourself accordingly. And to carry yourself accordingly is reminding you that this is very, very valid information. The illustration of family and way God views it. So tonight I have given you some different viewpoints about family, and I've touched a lot of different bases in tonight's podcast to give you an understanding about what family looks like. And it's so important to really consider these things as they are. And I want you to take time tonight and just reiterate everything that was shared here tonight on this cast. And I just pray that you would take something away. So I'm going to give you 4 points to kind of end the night with you all in terms of what I'm speaking about. So I want you all to be encouraged in this live. And first, before I do that, I want to say this. I want to congratulate you all just doing what you're doing, getting up every day, getting up, going to work, taking kids, taking care of your family, showing that support, that love and dedication that is needed, and continue to be consistent and staying the course of everything that you are experiencing right now at the very moment. So I want to share 4 points with you before I end the podcast. Number one, when you think about the word family, what resonates in your spirit? Number two, what is it when you think about gathering and support system? What does that look like for you? Number three, how are you in a major, how are you and what do you do in terms of, and let me rephrase that. Number three, so scratch that out. What is your major role in family overall? And last and not least, what is it that brings so much joy and excitement when you come to family? What do those things do for you, and how does that make you feel? Okay, about the 4 questions. I know the third one was kind of like a little wishy-washy because I had to rethink about how to word it and to present it to you all. So, with that being said, take the time out tonight when you watch the replay of this podcast to really think about some of the important key points of like, man, I never thought this would be something to be thinking about. Or this is something I never really considered to be very, very important to me until now. This podcast that I'm sharing with you all for the next 3 months is going to empower you, and it's going to allow you to look at things differently. And it's going to get you to think, concept, to get you to think and to really look at things in a different perspective for everybody. And I kind of went wide with it tonight, like I did with parenting everybody. So I pray blessings over your life. This is Jay, and welcome to the Mechanism Podcast, episode 2. So I will see you back here on next Sunday, next Monday, everybody, at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So next topic, we're going to be talking about love. We're going to look at love in multiple aspects, everyone, and how that look in terms of the worldly view of love and the biblical aspect of love. And as we look at those two categories of it, everybody, because those two podcasts, two illustrations of love, how the works of love, as well as how the biblical aspect of love. So I want to thank you all for tuning into this podcast, and I'll see you back here on next Monday at 7 p.m. You all have a blessed